the mechanism to go after Trump is not there. So I'm interested to see how it goes. But again, we have to keep Trump's feet to the fire. Okay. We cannot just go, oh, he's in, we're done. No, dude, we gotta. The reason I like Trump more than I like Joe Biden is like, I think Trump is a little bit more easily manipulated by the masses because he wants to be so loved. I feel like he's on Twitter, he's watching what people saying, he's more open-minded to it. Now, I make no illusions of it. Like we can get into it. I'm going to tell everybody right now, I did not vote for Trump last night. I cannot vote for a Zionist. I cannot vote for anybody.
We're in the same boat. I didn't vote either.
I couldn't vote for him. I'm sorry.
I'm glad Trump won. Let me just say, I'm glad he won, but I didn't vote for him. And people can say, how do you come to terms with that? I'm glad he won, brother. But I'm glad he won from like an optics perspective because honestly, I don't want to have to look at a woman in the office for 4 years.
Well, I mean, like, dude, there's nothing wrong. This is so funny. We have to push back about these narratives that have been pushed on us. That women can say they don't want to hear from a man, and men can't say they don't want to hear from a woman. Dude, women have literally made something called mansplaining, and they don't want to be told. They don't want to have things explained to them, even though they don't seem to be able to follow television shows or movies. They don't want us telling them what to do. Well, guess what? Men don't want to hear women talk sports. Okay. We just don't hear him talk sports. We don't want to hear him talk a lot of stuff. There's a reason why there's no guys on The View, including gay men. There's no men on The View. It's just women. And nobody complains about that. Okay. Here, let me just make a comment about the whole female president thing. The Democrats and Hillary Clinton have completely and utterly hijacked the DNC and did not allow any women to have a chance because Hillary just wanted to win. That's all. She just wanted to be the first president. And then the DNC, in a court case, said they're a private company and they have no obligation to give their constituents the candidate they want. And that has blown up in their face yet again because they had no primary to decide who's going to be the DNC candidate, and they pushed forward the lowest rated vice president in the modern era. Okay.
So unlikable.
She's just unlikable. She's
just
everything
so
wrong with society. She's a liar. She isn't. She will fuck whoever she has to get to where she wants. She has no, like, dude, they're all talking about, they can't find any cases that she lawyered up for. She didn't do any cases. Everything about her is a giant fraud. And we've seen that in society all the time. From the Laurel Canyon kids who are all military brats, push on people for counterculture to all these rich kids in Hollywood's acting like they came from humble beginnings. It's all been a lie over and over and over. Barack Obama being a Bush, lie. And I'm fine with you calling out the Republicans. I'm on nobody's side. I'm on humanity's side.
I'm aware.
I'm never gonna ever go, hey, I'm a Republican guy. Fuck the Republicans. I remember what they did. I mean, we've been power ranking genocides. There's a good chance Hitler and George Bush Jr. put up the same numbers. And we can get into all that in a few. But I'm sorry, dude. The reason there's never been a female candidate that's been made it to the White House is because the mechanism will not allow anybody that people actually like to get into that position. Tulsi Gabbard, a lot of people would vote for Tulsi Gabbard. Yeah, she's got the WEF connections, but a lot of people like her. They wouldn't let her sniff the White House. And that's why you don't have a female in the office, because they won't let any of the real ones run.
Yeah, the left and the right wing are a part of the same bird, and that bird is AIPAC. Ultimately, this is the reality of the situation. And I will say, to respond to some of what you said here, brother, I didn't vote either. And it was because the Zionist connection as well. The fact that Adelson and all the large funders behind Trump are these Jewish elitists like that I couldn't get beyond that. But I am almost optically and sentimentally glad because I also, it could be a moral, like a small moral victory because it is like a alpha male white guy. That it's good for the optics a little bit. I like that, but you're correct. There's all of these people who are essentially these boomer sentimented Trump cultists. He's riding on that coattail without understanding that he is a shadow of the 2016 self.
Yeah, I'm with you, and it's just unbelievable. And it's like everything was a lot. I mean, Obama was a straight up Bush, and you study it to the point where I go, did they purposely run a garbage candidate to get Trump in? Because they did that for Obama. They brought out John McCain, who couldn't have been more of a white male war hawk that everyone was over after the Bush and Cheney years. You ran the exact opposite of what America wanted, and then you got this slick, closeted black gay man, a gay black man, and you ran him, and he won. And so you gotta go. Did they throw the fight with this Kamala Harris because she was so unloved to push her forward like that? It's super interesting. So now let's get into this. You talked about AIPAC. I'm very passionate about this. I my girlfriend's Jewish. I'm doing a joke right now about how like I love some of my favorite people of all time are Jews. My girlfriend's Jewish.
Jewish women are hot.
Jewish chicks really are hot. Mitzi Shore, Jew. My Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, Jew. I actually root for Jews. Like whenever like there's a corporate scandal or there's a government agency trying to fuck humanity over, I pray, please, God, please don't let it be a Jew. And it's always a Jew. Okay. So, I mean, I root for them. All right. I'm rooting for them. But AIPAC, to be able to brag about manipulating our elections is just absolutely ridiculous. They should have to register as a foreign agency because what is happening, dude, is this $1 trillion deficit. A lot of that money is going to Israel. And what Israel's doing, it's turning right around and giving that money to AIPAC to manipulate our government. It should be illegal.
And AIPAC, my friend, is only one arm of the tentacle. You also have the fact that a lot of this money connected to Israel, like look at MindGeek. MindGeek owns all the pornography in America, and that's connected to Israel funding. Or let's look at, all these censorship organizations that often target comedians. That's also ventriculated to the same people over and over again. Now, I do want to add a little pretext here. If I saw, as a Korean, ethnic Korean, a band of Koreans having dual interests and infiltrating our government and using the lump sum money we give to Korea to denigrate and destroy innocent lives in Palestine, if Koreans were doing that, I would be saying that's wrong because I'm team humanity. And what I am saying is that it's the efficacy is wrong here. The fact that our money is going to the IDF and they're causing so much damage and destruction, I just don't like the fact that our country is funding that. And I just want to make a universal statement. It's not that I'm out with a magnifying glass, where are the Jews? Although that'll be fun. But okay, it's much more that it's not right what Israel is doing with what the money we give them. They're sending missiles and killing kids and women. I mean, I just can't co-sign that. And when I basically project how a lot of these evils are perhaps associated with the doctrine they believe in, that's when it gets more dicey. But it doesn't mean that we have to round up the Jews or whatever. That's almost a straw man that they always put up towards me.
Yeah,
that's how they banned me, by the way.
You're 100% correct. It doesn't mean that, and it's never meant that. And when we get into 9/11, we get into what really happened on 9/11. No matter what, as soon as you bring up Mossad, they start calling you anti-Semitic, even though that's an agency, not a religion. Okay, they start calling you anti-Semitic, and then you go, okay, well, play the tape out for me. Play it out. What are you saying? If I say that Mossad was involved with 9/11, are you saying we're a hop, skip, and a jump away from goose stepping? Is that what you're saying? that millions of Jews are going to die? Is that what you're saying? Because the official narrative, okay, which was a bunch of sand people pulled off some Luke Skywalker Death Star bullshit and landed a plane, pinpointed a plane right into these two tiny buildings.
Two planes.
Which caused 4 million Iraqis to die. So that is real life consequences. That is not a theoretical thought of how everything plays out. Okay. A real life false narrative was pushed by Kirchhoff, whose father was a Talmud scholar. His mother was involved in Operation Magic Carpet, which was helped form Israel, which was this thing where they smuggled in Zionists out of other countries using airlines. So please tell me what is the
while they're dancing, by the way.
Why they're dancing, dude. And like
while they're dancing.
Have you ever seen this video? I just finally found it. And it's basically
and while you're looking for this video, I also want to add that, to add on to that, it's I mean, it is the Jews, but like my issue is that my issue in this I guess J-pilling movement or whatever you want to call it is that I'm also very much against getting on the hate train, the hatred brigade. I'm more of a love guy, and my thing is if we're gonna point out that there is a tribal loyalty, and if that is happening, which it is happening, that doesn't mean your neighbor who is a Jewish family, who are normies, who are just literally living their lives. And
100%.
It doesn't mean you should be demagogic towards them. And that's why I have an issue with this. And that's why I try to be careful with how I package this, because even if I am pointing out issues in the Talmud and things that are written in there and things that they believe in, and the tutelage that a young Jew has to be conditioned towards, that is quite a bit about a separation of classes. Like that conditioning, like I can be against that, but that doesn't mean that every Jew I look at, I just start saying
I
Jew.
agree. I mean, dude, there are tons of Jews out there marching against what Israel's doing in Gaza. Now, people say at the core of Judaism is Zionism. I'm gonna be honest with you. Like I'm a 52-year-old man. I just started looking into the Bible. I would consider myself a Christian all my life. And it's only because I listen to Johnny Cash with my friends that I am looking into what is actually in the Bible.
Don't look into the Talmud, brother.
No, believe me, I've looked into it very deep. And I would tell you that I guarantee you most Jews haven't. I guarantee you it. Most of them are just culturally Jewish, that it just resonates with them culturally. And I'm not trying to say that there aren't people out there that aren't Zionists. I mean, I'm just, that if you're Jewish and you're okay with what's going on in Gaza, you are part of the problem. Okay. Just as the same thing if you're a Christian Zionist, you are part of the problem. If you don't see the slaughtering of people, children, okay, under a false narrative, which is October 7th, I will tell you, and here it is. I want to read to you everything that you should know. You should study the Clean Break Report, a strategy for Israel in the 1980s, Project for a New American Century, the Mass Hannibal Directive, the Daya Doctrine, Gaza 2035, the Ben Gurion Canal Project, and the Greater Israel Project. Study all of those. Most of those are decades old ideas about a greater Israel, which is Mesopotamia. The old gods are coming back. They want to come back. The old gods want to play. Okay. That's what's happening right now. And these Messianic Jews, and you're seeing people in Israel talking about that right now, that these doomsday cult, Abrahamic prophecy Jews who are like Netanyahu, who are trying to push this narrative because he's right. He really did believe, he bought all the Kool-Aid that he was the one that was going to bring in the third temple. And it's falling apart right now, and he's desperate. He's firing everybody. He knows
Dangerous.
if this ends right now, he's going to end up in the Hague. He knows it. And that's why he's doing what he's going to do. So if you still buy into this narrative that people in Lebanon somehow had something to do with October 7th, if you're buying in that Iran had something to do with October 7th, and you don't think that Netanyahu completely fund, armed, and trained Hamas, you are a lost soul, because it's always been that. Create the problem, be the solution. What's it called? Problem, reaction, solution. It is always that. I'm just yelling.
I need a Dom DeMarco button. I don't know if you know what that means, but yeah, it's disconcerting. It's this is happening, and people don't want to. The reason why it's so hard for people to be red-pilled about everything you just said, the Queen Break memo, all of this, the founding of Israel from Theodore Herzl, and the whole justification that they have and the entitlement complex associated with that. It's hard for people because it can put you in the seat of hatred almost. You know what I mean? There's this anti-Semitic label where the moment you start delving into this, a person can feel like, am I being bigoted? And I think that's the hurdle, because most of us, we don't want to be the bad guy, rightfully so, and it makes sense. Of course, you want to be right, you want to be just. But I approach all of this without hatred. I just cared about the truth, and constantly seeing all of these fires that are being put into our culture, and everyone's pointing at the houses on fire, but nobody's really pointing at the arsonist. Yes. Where these fires are coming from. And that's when I went, okay, I'm not being bigoted here, but it seems to be every time I look under the table to see, the mess, I go, oh, look at the time. It's your little yarmulke. I'm just saying. So even when he said cultural Marxism, it's funny because, Jewish people are culturally Jewish. It's interesting because, what does cultural Jewish denote? Well, there's an assumption that the West has, and I'm trying to say this carefully because, again, I'm trying to say this almost academically. There's this notion of pantheism, and pantheism is this belief that all religions essentially go to the same road because there's freedom of religion. So ultimately, as long as people follow their faith, then we're all going to be loving with one another. But the problem is that these books actually say different things, right? This is not even an ethnic argument. The problem is that, if I read the Talmud on repeat, I'm going to have a different worldview than if I read the Bible. And that's a different conditioning. And there's some disconcerting things. That's all what a lot of these scholars have been bringing to the equation.
If people actually knew what the name of the Talmud was, which is the Babylonian oral history of the rabbis, that in itself should let you know that sums up when you see Babylonian, okay? And you can sit there and argue with me, not you, obviously, but people out there that push back on this talk about the Talmud this and the Talmud that, and the Talmud isn't that, and it doesn't say that. There's literally a law in Israel that if you're accused, basically if you're accused of pedophilia in America, you can run to Israel for safety. It's happening.
Yes, and you know what? This connects what you just said, Sam. Being accused of pedophilia so I can run away. That is directly related to the Talmud, and I'll show you how.
That's what I'm saying.
The Talmud has a Promethean model of spirituality. It's all about transacting with, if you read it, it's constant. There's all these exchanges with spiritual beings for material self-aggrandizement. It's very Promethean, and there's literally a part of the Talmud. I'm paraphrasing it, of course, but there's this degeneracy happening. They're doing orgy, pedophilic, darkness, evil. And God actually comes down. And you can't make this up. They send their best lawyer to go to the edge of the cliff. And he actually out-bargains God. And God actually goes, all right, you got that, man. Because he was so efficient. So he goes back down and they're able to continue. And essentially what's happening here is that when you look at this is the thesis that a lot of people have about Judaism. The reason why people have an issue with it, and I'm just being honest. I'm not pointing at anybody, but the reason why people who've read into Judaism have an issue is because all of these other religions, Islam included, Christianity, of course, they define evil from a divergence from a set of abstract principles. Whether it's the Ten Commandments, whether it's some of the sets of laws in the Quran, whatever it is, that's what it seems to be. But Judaism, morality isn't necessarily about right or wrong. It's based on what you can get away with. So there's relativism there, which is why they say every evil is pretextual. So pedophilia may not necessarily be a bad thing because it depends on the context. And that's when you go, okay, maybe that's why they're such good lawyers.
What's their defense on their context on that?
Well, this is what I'm saying. They will always constantly obfuscate and move this goalpost and shift things around. That's why whenever I was on a show a couple of days ago, and this Jewish guy came up onto the screen and he said, "I've been waiting to battle you," or whatever. I'm like, okay, I'm not battling anyone. I'm just sharing my journey. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong.
Yes.
Right? And every time I point it out, I'm like, well, why does I think it's Saltron. I can't remember the exact quote, but at the time it was fresh in my mind. I'm like, why does it say that Jesus Christ is in the deepest layer of hell, and we basically reject the New Testament? Why does that say that constantly in the Talmud? Why are they insulting other people's religions? Why is the separation of the Gentiles and the chosen one of the most important parts of the Talmud? And why is it that every time people say the Talmud isn't our New Testament? Well, every time a rabbi does a speech on the Talmud, there's 15,000 seats in a stadium. Like, it's crazy. Like, it's pretty venerated text. And he ended up moving the goalposts. He goes, well, then how about you tell me why is it that when Trump had to go to the Roman Catholic Church? I'm like, that's not what I asked you. And I just keep seeing this derailing.
Yes.
And it's because they don't really want to admit that there is Jewish supremacy happening.
There is totally Jewish supremacy happening, and saying that doesn't mean you hate Jews. Okay, this is where we're getting into. It's like there's this whole notion because something bad happened in Germany in 1945 that any actual criticism based on facts is somehow coming from anti-Semitism. And my whole thing is this: you brought up pedophilia. If we can openly talk about, okay, Catholics being pedophiles, Muslims being pedophiles, we have to be able to talk about Jews being pedophiles, because all we're saying is they are no different than all these other religions. We're not specifying them. We're not singling them out. We're not highlighting them. We're saying this is actually happening to them too. And the reason you want to do that is because if you cannot talk about a problem, you'll never solve the problem. Okay,
Sam, you're getting J-Pill just like me, because this is how I got to a point, because I agree with you. It's all about holding a universal standard to be consistent philosophically.
Yes, that's all it is.
But the problem is, this is the problem. When that's where my heart is. Let's have a universal standard because I love all people. Because I love all people, also I'm a Christian. Christianity says love all people. I don't hate Jews, by the way, because we can all be.
I love Jews.
Yeah. There's no hatred here, but the point is that their actual doctrine trains them to not have the same universal standard. That's my point. So when we say we should tolerate everyone, that's fine. But should I tolerate intolerance? So what if it's not going both ways?
So what I don't know if what you're getting, but like you said in the Talmud, it's all right in some way, some context to be a pedophile, right?
Yes.
Well, they say everything can be argued, basically.
Yeah.
Well, their argument, XG, is that if you are non-Jewish, you're a goy of a certain age, it's not a sin.
That is basically the argument.
And that's the difference, is in the Bible, it's not okay ever.
Well, there's some weird stuff going on in the New Testament. Let's be honest here. There's some weird shit in there too. But in terms of the rules in which you must follow, okay? At its basis, and I will argue this with anybody, at the basis, the teachings of Jesus Christ is love thy neighbor. That's the basis. Spread love, help God's children. That is at the basis. Christianity is the only one of the Abrahamic religions that doesn't have a law that says in certain contexts, in certain situations, lying is okay. There's no rule. There's no rule in Christianity that says you can lie. In the Talmud, there is instances in which lying is acceptable. In the Quran, there are instances in which lying is acceptable. And here's what I want to say to everybody. when you really get deep into it, man,
Come to the cross, gentlemen. Come to the cross.
my belief is this: is that Israel is not really about Zionism. I really do believe that is just the smokescreen put forward to get people behind it. Israel is a land bridge, which it makes is the quickest, easiest trade route to get goods from Africa and Asia into Europe. So how do you control that? Well, you control that through making a religious war and arming one side while not arming the other side, and actually allowing religious zealots to flourish by going, if you're going to study the Talmud, that will be your job, and you could be on state welfare, and that's going to be your job. So you're just allowing people to fester. There's nobody there. It's like a buddy of mine, when he was thinking about going to college, he's black, and his father, he was thinking about going either to Washington or this black college. And his dad said, life isn't black. You're not just going to deal with black people. You need to go to college to learn how to talk to all people. Well, in Israel, if it's all Israelis, right, and it's mostly Jewish, if predominantly Jewish, and even the Arabs there are Hebrews, right? Who's going to tell you you're crazy? Who's going to tell you you're wrong by saying that Arabs are dogs? There's no other country in the world that will allow their politicians to talk about another group of people the way the world allows Zionist politicians in Israel to talk about Palestinians and Arabs. It's no other place, but that's done on purpose because they are weaponizing one side to take out the other side so they can take over and do the Ben Gurion canal that they want, the Greater Israeli Project. That's really what it's all about, bringing back old Mesopotamia. That's my honest opinion.
Well, I think what you said something very profound there, which is that essentially Zionism is the opposite of universalism. Because Zionism, what's breathed in it is this idea of, once again, separating Gentiles. This is how they justify it, right? Gentiles and chosen people. And, I would even use that in a wider sense. Because again, I don't want people to think that, oh, Sam is having this anti-Semitic Asian guy on. I want you to understand that, like, when I say Zionism, like I can be a Korean Zionist. You know what I'm saying? It's like, understand what that word is as a definition. Like, Zionism is frankly the opposite of this universal perspective we're talking about. And that is the issue. That is why you can go to Israel with essentially just showing your genetic background. If you're genetically a Jew, then you're automatically a citizen. You can become a citizen there and get dual citizenship as well. People don't realize that. You can literally go to Israel if you were a Jew and just get dual citizenship. That's why pedophiles can run there. Because if you are ethnically Jew, you're in.
Yeah, and it's just crazy to me the way this whole thing about trying to get you not to believe your eyes and your ears. That is a giant Marxist, dark arts, satanic view of the world, which is don't believe your eyes and ears of what's going on. They want you to believe that white Europeans are native to that area. It's just not happening. And again, I have zero problems with Jewish people having a homeland, as long as that homeland, they're not slaughtering people. That's my thing. Like, you can live together.
And you know what? And that also connects to so much turmoil that is happening inside of our country, which is actually controlled psychological operations. For example, they want all these different people, these different groups fighting another, getting into civil war and hating amongst each other. And like a great example, obviously, is like BLM. BLM is Soros money. That's right now there. That's a Zionist financier right there. And the actuality is, we're sort of coming to this narrative here where people are realizing that there's a reason why the hero's journey, all of these great movies, all of them over and over again, whatever it is, from Harry Potter, Star Wars, whatever it is, Lord of the Rings, it's all about all of these people have to come together, regardless of their background, and they need to slay Sauron. They need to slay I'm going to basically call it Zionism right now so I can be more kosher. They need to slay this evil, and they would rather have us all separate, fighting each other. That's really the lesson that I've come to see. And a very important part of us actually progressing in this dialogue together is that we need to be able to approach this with balance. And when he talked about Christianity being the only Abrahamic religion that encompasses love, well, Christianity, and hear me out when I say it, it's kind of very Tao if you think about it. It's very balanced because you're correct. The Old Testament does have a lot of fire and brimstone. It's very scary. Tower of Babel, Cain and Abel, the flood. It is constant. It's you play God and he comes in and he destroys you. You're doing these bestiality orgies, which is happening in Babel. They destroy you. And that's happening over and over again. But in contrast to the sword, which is why I always paint Christ with sword, and also like I put it always balanced with it, is the New Testament. And the New Testament is literally called the good news, because Christ's whole point is that if you understand not to play God and if you follow these commandments, all you have to really do is go from the womb to the tomb. Like, it's kind of free. That's sort of the Christian Zen. You know what I mean? And I guess what I'm saying is that Jews, they reject Christ. So their reaction to the Old Testament, because it's all about this, it's basically power dynamics. If that's the case, Christ said, okay, if it's all about power dynamics, we should accept, forgive, and go forward. Jews reject that message. They actually crucify him. But that's what their sentiment is there for. This is reality. We need to acquire that power, which is why 2% of the population in America runs 90% of the infrastructure.
Yeah, and that's a real question. Yeah, you can't listen. If you go Jews, why Jews? Okay, I'm going to have a problem with that. But if you go, how is 2% have? How are they? How has 2% won 40% of the Oscars? Right? How does 2% have an like what's it? 30% of Supreme Court? It's some crazy 20-30% of the Supreme Court. How are they running all the Ivy League schools? How's that? That's a real question that I would like to talk about. And this is why they hate the term Zionist, because it allows people to have a conversation that normies can't have. They can't have it because once they hear it's like why I hate Europa, right? Like people like watch Europa and they're like, the Jew. And I'm like, you're losing everybody. You're just preaching to the choir. What we have to do is get people to wake up that there is an ideology out there that is anti-human and it has a name. Okay. And in reality, there's levels above that as well. There's levels above that. These people at the highest level, the black nobility, they're not any of these Abrahamic religions. They only wear that. The only reason Jeffrey Epstein walks around telling everybody he's Jewish is so that he can walk around. If he actually walked around and was like, I'm a satanic pedophile based on all the symbolism that on my island and everything I do, okay, we would lynch him. I would like to think we would lynch him. We would beat the shit out of him. That's what they do. Street justice. But they can't do that.
I would argue though that people who actually practice the Talmud and the Torah as well, and Kabbalah, which is Jewish mysticism, that is a stepping stone towards Satanism. I would argue that, because even when you look at the Satanic Church and the Temple, it was formed by Anton LaVey, whose actual name was Howard Stanton LaVey, and Moshe Dayan, who's is literally one of the people who founded the IDF, was the one who wrote the Satanic Bible and gave it to Anton LaVey here. So it's an uncomfortable truth, but yes, I agree with you. You know, I would say the people who, mainly these keyboard warriors, by the way, who are anonymous on X and they have like Julius Caesar as their profile photo. It's like, because I'm white, I'm there for that. It's like, there is a LARPing phenomena going on, and they do bring the conversation to a lower IQ, because instead of actually talking about salient points about the history behind this power play, they would rather just go, yeah, Jew. And it does freak most people out. Like normie people have to understand, if you want to actually have people look at things with consideration and depth, you can't just be shouting at a rooftop and screaming racial profanities. Like normal people are going to look at you and go, no, you're a fringe crazy person. So if we want to actually wake people up, we got to have some class about it, actually.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you on that. I'm with you on that. We have to have real conversations. And that's why I believe that there's certain things I think that are God sent, even though they may have been created by man. I think oil is God sent. I think God gave us oil so that we could create all this amazing stuff. and that maybe we've come slave to it, but people are starting to wake up to that as well. Not that global warming is that global warming is or climate change is real, but the notion that there's a limited supply of oil and that we're just being played with by these fucking pieces of shit, fake House of Saud motherfuckers, right? They're waking up to that, okay? But also the internet. And for whatever, everyone always thinks that these super elites are 5D chessing us. I really do believe that the internet got away from them. And for whatever Elon is, okay? And I'm here, I'm all for that he's part of this like trans agenda bullshit, okay? Whatever he did, Twitter changed the game and allowed people to have a real dialogue about what is going on in the world. And even if it's temporary, which I don't know how they put it back in, they lock it down. People are waking up to it every day. People are waking up to it every day. I think the internet has totally saved us. I think it saved us, and it has allowed us to be where we are right now. And when Obama is getting booed and heckled at his own rallies for Kamala, that's a sign that there's been a conscious shift. And is it perfect? No. I do believe that a paranoid society is the best society, and we should hold Trump, RFK, Tulsi, Tucker, any of these motherfuckers that are supposedly white knighting us right now. We should be holding them accountable every moment. We should not give them a moment of rest and breath. We should always be like, this is what we want. Either you give it to us, because now we've gotten rid of the Democrats. We'll get rid of the Republicans next. We'll figure it the fuck out, man.
So you just said the Democrats are out. We'll get rid of the Republicans next. You don't think this after Trump, it's the best time to create a third party, something different? Because I mean, who else would run for the Republicans after Trump that is anything like him?
No, I think like, dude, there is that book, The Last President.
Good question.
I mean, dude, who do the Democrats run after this? I mean, Michelle Obama. Good luck. She's gonna get pounded.
Who do the Republicans run after Trump?
That's question. The whole thing.
Who?
Maybe the two-party system dies. Maybe that's it. We'll see. But it's like we're gonna find out real quick. I think Trump is going to take a giant L if he gets Pompeo in as his anything in his cabinet. I think he's going to see a giant backlash. I just think that America is special, and I have hope for us. I make no illusions. We could go down the list of things that Trump did wrong in his last thing, and I think that Trump is just more easily to manipulate because I think he's on social media seeing what everybody says, and I think he does care what people think about him.
So do you think he's got to stop one of the wars? He's going to stop Ukraine, Russia, right?
He says he wants to end the Gaza war, and I think Trump is smart enough to know you have to play a game. You have to play a game. And Israel is on the brink of, I'm sorry, guys. I know people, we've had great guests on the past that are just like, Israel will be fine. I think they're on the brink of collapse, and they are on the brink of being a fallen state. After this whole thing, they've extended themselves. Iran has completely outmaneuvered them by being silent and not retaliating in a real way to kick off World War III. Dude, Netanyahu's been trying to do anything he can to bring everybody else into this war, and these poor countries have had to sit there and watch their peoples get slaughtered because they know World War III is 10 times worse for them and 10 times worse for humanity. So they've been playing this long game, and I just think that we're going to see sorry about that. My camera's just glitching right now. I don't get it, but here we go.
You're spitting bars so hard that you can't keep up with them.
Yeah. So I think Israel's in deep shit. So I there's just some people out there that are just unself-aware. I'm just watching people go, Israel's in deep shit. And it's so funny about Israel because Mossad is the greatest intelligence company out there. They get busted all the time. It's just the system set up that they never get called out on their shit.
They're protected.
I keep hearing about the idea. Like I was taking Krav Maga And I was like, why am I taking this fucking art from these people I fucking hate? This fucking military I fucking hate. And then I watch these guys go into like Lebanon and just get their dicks kicked in. Their circumcised dicks kicked in and sent back. Okay? Like the IDF is not a good army, a good military. They can't win unless
they're just a
bombing you.
protected class. That's all it is.
They really are.
Yeah.
And again, this is not against Jews. I love Jews. I live with a Jew. I love her to pieces, even though she's very mad at me about what happened last night. I'll take it, you know? But it's like, they're not special, dude.
I'll love the hot female Jews.
Yeah.
But I think that's where I cut off my limit.
There's some Jewish guys out there that are fucking ballers and good dudes
just
and
kidding.
chill. You know, it's just like we have to do this. You have to do this. You have to talk about Zionism because everyone's looking for any reason to just basically shit on everything you have to say. They're looking for it. So we have to play this kind of high wire balancing act where we call out foreign leaders, foreign governments, foreign militaries for committing genocide. Okay. Like I'm sorry, dude. I know exactly what side I would be on if I was in Germany, right? During 1940s. I would know exactly what I would be doing because I would know that Hitler was controlled opposition and all you Hitler dick riders refuse to take a look at IG Farben and how they had an American board that was completely funding the rise of Hitler. You know, there's this guy, I forget what his name is. He was one of the big Holocaust deniers who got ran out. And I'm not a Holocaust denier.
David Irving?
Who I think it was Irving. He talked about how he got hold of Churchill's his what's it called? I will
you're
call
muted
him,
there, brother.
what?
Oh, no, I just couldn't hear you.
his not diary, but his personal writings. And he had talked to the Chancellor of Germany, who was in power before Hitler, and how the Chancellor of Germany was so disgusted when he found out that the Bank of Germany, the centralized Bank of Germany, was completely funding Hitler. Why does Hitler die peacefully in Argentina, everybody, if he was the bad guy you thought he was? Okay? He was controlled opposition. He was the Bolsheviks of Germany. And if you study the Abrahamic religions and the prophecies, Germany leads what is known as Germany today, leads the pagans against the lost tribes of Israel. Okay?
So this is the first time I'm hearing of this. So you're saying Hitler was controlled by the same Zionists that are running the gambit today?
100%. And it wasn't until at the end they realized he got used that he somehow tries to flip it. But I even think that's bullshit because he just quietly dies in Argentina. And there's just whole villages and cities that are German in Latin America. Ghislaine Bunchins, come on, that's as German as you fucking get, dude. You could study it, dude. Study the rise of Hitler, Wall Street and the rise of Hitler. He has all the receipts. And it's just completely funny. He had like
I'm not going to retort because I don't feel well versed on the information you just said. But let me just play devil's advocate. And I'm not a Hitler dick writer. I'm just playing devil's advocate here. Could it be that he had to use their own system against them because they're in such an economic debt and they're in such a depression?
Why are they in economic debt? Let me ask you. I'm not trying to go at you either. I'm just asking you. Yeah. Why are they in economic debt?
Well, this is them suffering under the shadow of the First World War, and then the fact that they're under a system that is owned by
specifically the Treaty of Versailles.
Hold on. Why is that? Because 25% of their GDP is going where?
You tell me.
It's going to something called the Bank of International Settlements, okay, which was specifically created to get reparations from Germany after World War One. World War One was all bullshit. World War One, everything. World War
One, like I said, yeah.
World War One, World War Two were all set up to take over Mesopotamia, Israel. That's what it was. The first World War One was about destroying the Turkish Empire that would not give the British elites Palestine. The Turks wouldn't give it to him. And I hate the fucking Turks. I'm Armenian. The Turks wouldn't give it to him. So they had to destroy the Turkish Empire. That was step one. Step two, okay, is about destroying Germany, because Germany is going to lead the pagan. If you study everything going on in Germany right now, it totally lines up with completely demoralizing that base that is supposed to lead the pagans versus the lost tribes. Now, why is the Bank of International Settlement so important? Because this is the bank that is taking this is the bank that is the centralized bank to all the centralized banks. Okay? It is the headquarters to all the centralized banks around the world. Why is that important? Because it was set up to take money from Germany. Why is that important? Why is that important? Because it's in Switzerland. Where is the only country that Hitler didn't enter during World War II? Switzerland.
I'm gonna assume Switzerland.
Yeah, he didn't go into Switzerland.
So here's the thing. Okay. So, but this bank, it was owned and run by Jews, correct?
It was, well, dude, if you really want to get into it, you go, Sam, what is your real thoughts? I personally think the Rothschilds are just accountants for very high ups. I think I personally think it goes the British Empire, and I go even higher, old Italian banking families from Italy are the black nobility, and they
okay. So you agree with Kanye? Yeah, this is what Kanye actually said too.
Yes, that's my belief. At the power core is the black nobility, and if you really study everything, you get into it. The Vatican, the Bank of England, and Washington D.C. are all three parts of the power structure of the elites. The Vatican is religion. The Bank of England is money, and DC is the military power, and each one is used to control the world. That's my opinion.
Sam Tripoli is a black belt in conspiratorial literature.
I mean, that's just my opinion, dude. You know, that's why.
No, I understand. I mean, my only sympathy about this issue is that I do think that actually you're not going to have an issue relating with this. Actually, it's just that I think that not just this window, but just so much of history we've been lied to, obviously, and I think that there's also a litany of lies in regards to the Nazis uprising and what they were fighting against, and this idea that Hitler was simply a man who just wanted to take over the world and destroy the Jewish people. Like, I guess there's a side of me that is a revisionist, because when I study about things like my biggest red pill on this, and I'm saying this as an Asian guy, because usually it's white people who go like, yeah, the fire in my belly, and I'm like, no, I'm not even white. I'm just saying that I thought it was interesting that I was told. I remember actually when I was told this in my history class, the book burning of the Nazis, and it was all this wealth and literature and all this wisdom towards a beatific vision. They wanted to burn it all because it was non-German. And when I discovered Magnus Hirschfeld and the Sex Institute, and this man who literally had a library of pornography, and he actually collected jars that were penis enclosed from mentally ill people because he was transitioning them. And the fact that this guy was actually in the process of writing a masturbatory curriculum so they can start pimping German boys, so they can start creating degeneracy very early on. And obviously, when that came into the picture in 1938, he rounded up all his books in the entire library and burned it. He also closed down Bauhaus, which was the biggest art school that was dedicated to destroying beautiful art and making it into this postmodern crap we're talking about, because all of these things have modern parallels. And for me, that's what I found attractive to the narrative.
Those aren't mutually exclusive, though. I don't think those are necessarily mutually exclusive. I don't think that you could either have one or the other of those.
Yeah, I just think there are some. I think most people, and actually, we've come to agreement here. Most people just don't understand World War II properly in general. The entire
because we're sold on lies, and it wasn't until the internet in which we could exchange ideas that we can go, hold on, what? You found what? This did what? That happened because I was told the exact lie. The exact opposite.
I just discovered so many of these lies. I was just like, wait, that was actually the reason why. Wait, what? This is going on, and then you learn about how like he didn't even start the war. It was actually Great Britain, and it's all they call it controlled opposition.
Poland kicked the war off. Poland was killing.
This is what I'm saying. So it's like he is one of the most lied about and misunderstood people. Now, there's probably things I don't know about as well. Nobody, he's not Jesus. That people that try to venerate him towards. And again, like if I ever was in your neighborhood, man, and we're having a bite and your girlfriend's there, I don't care.
She doesn't care. She gets sensitive when you go off on Jews, but she despises what Israel's doing right now.
And I wouldn't do that anyways.
Yeah, I get it. Maybe listen, man, Hitler isn't what they want. They needed you to hate Hitler so that people like our Homeland Security leader can, when you criticize him on the border, you go, my parents have survived the Holocaust, and try to get you to run off. That's the whole purpose of that. Okay. Like even if we took the numbers for real, and I'm fine with whatever you want to say, it's not even top 5 yet. Nobody even wants to talk about that. It's not even top 5 of the known genocides that we know about. It's not even top 5. We talked about some broken sim. It goes Mao, Stalin, Bill Gates vaccine, okay, King Leopold, and then you have in there the Bolshevik Jews in Russia. He's not even top 5.
That's right.
Top 5.
And you know what? I wasn't even going to get into those numbers, but my point is that Hitler is very useful to the elite to silence white America. And I'm just looking at social dynamics. Anytime a white person says anything, you as white men, it's like if are you white, by the way? I can't tell you. What are you?
Well, I am.
No, I know you're white, but what is he?
I'm Mexican. Mexican.
Mexican.
And he's here illegally.
I was like, he's white-ish.
No,
he's Spanish Mexican.
Yeah, Spanish Mexican. Yeah,
so he's a Euro Mexican.
Yeah,
cool, brother. Yeah, because I'm just saying, every time Hitler is useful against white people, because anytime a white person has an atypical perspective, he may not even be one. He might be a white belt in just getting into this world. He may know nothing, but if he has a atypical worldview in and of itself, the first thing they do is they put a little mustache on him. That is so useful because you're therefore a racist, sexist, bigot. You hate the poor. You're anti-Semitic. It's just like, no, we just have a different opinion. You know what I'm saying? It's like literally, I have friends across the board. Like and we all talk about the truth, and that's what we have in common. But you can get reprimanded, especially if you're white and Christian, with this little mustache. Boom, you're therefore a Nazi. It's like, I don't want to be that. Therefore, I'm going to shut up and not look into this further.
Yeah, I mean, everything is just I'm working on this bit. It's a very high wire bit, but like based on the people that who are calling you these words, they've destroyed the meaning: fascist, racist, homophobe, transphobe, Nazi,
faggot.
Yeah. I mean, I'm taking back faggot, but I'm taking back retard, and I like being called the M word. That's just me. Okay, that's who I like.
That is because you are a real nigger.
Thank you, dude. Thank you for the ER too. Thank you. Yeah, I'm a real nigga.
Went hard.
I got you, man.
I really am a real nigga. And people need to understand that. And we're taking these words back. And it's like we're getting past the day in which a word is said and you melt down. You know what's gonna happen in the future? A word is said and you move on with your fucking life. Okay?
As
you don't like the person who said that? Don't talk to them anymore. Shut the fuck up. I have a good friend of mine. I'm good friends with Tony Hinchcliffe. I had good friends of mine trying to tweet his representation because they wanted him to get dropped. Get the fuck out of here. Okay? You don't like Tony Hinchcliffe's joke? Don't go to Tony Hinchcliffe's shows. That is the extent of your power. Go fuck yourself, because the minute you make a rule in which people could be taken out for things they said, just know that rule will be used against you at some point, because there's some even more woke fucking faggot out there who's going to fucking try to take your job by acting like they're upset about a fucking rule. And the word faggot is only used at dumb assholes, not my gay friends. Okay. And I have a whole joke about that as well, which is the only people I call faggot are my best friends, Tom Brady, and straight dudes I fuck hard. That's it. Okay. Those are the only ones. Okay.
Oh, that's good. Well, I gotta say, brother, that obviously you just said a lot of common sense. And only a fool will disagree with you. The problem is that most people are fools. So because most people are fools, this is why I am sort of I'm getting to the point where I'm almost becoming, and I'm trying to say this without sounding like in like a demagogic manner. It's not vociferous or hostile, but I'm almost sometimes leaning towards being like an open authoritarian. And here's what I mean. I'm not trying to control people and blah, blah, blah. But my point is that I've gotten to the point now, looking in retrospect, just watching this circus for so long, brother, I'm at the point where I think that I just look at power now as a vacuum. And I think what's happened is that we have this assumption that if we just put it into the free market and give it all to the people, then their good intentions are going to be purely libertarian. We're going to live and let live. But human nature hasn't really shown that. I think when you give people absolute freedom, they do drag queen story hours, they're unfaithful. And like that's why I'm sort of feeling, as a person who is actually live and let live in his personal life, that most human beings, they don't speak from common sense, man. Like we may need, like, I think power is a vacuum, and the right needs to, the actual traditional people who want to preserve their culture and order and people and identity, they have to start engaging in it and understand that if you leave it as a vacuum, the left is going to go in there immediately, and you're going to be absolute controlled opposition from this higher elitism. And we need to start engaging in that power politics. And in a way, I'm sort of advocating people on our side to actually start being a little bit more authoritarian.
Well, that's very interesting because Top Lobster from the Nephilim Death Squad brought that up about how, you know, Trump should just go full dictator. It's interesting, dude. Here's the biggest thing, dude. We as men have to stop thinking that we have to be nice guys and co-sign on bullshit. We need to stop being weak men, and we need to start showing up. We need to, like you said earlier, we need to run towards the problem. We need to be first responders, okay? And when ridiculous bullshit gets pushed, especially from these white progressive women who are cultural terrorists, we have to push back. We have to go. We don't need drag queens reading the kids. We need to push back. The days of just not caring. Here's the problem with a lot of shit is that men work so hard during the week. We come home, we're tired. We don't want to fucking micromanage everything. Okay. But we've allowed the crazies to take over by not paying attention. Men need to care. We need to all become localists. I call them localists. We need to work on a local level and pay attention to everything going on. We can no longer just assume it's going to work itself out because we got to the point where we're allowing men to compete against women. We're allowing men to beat up women for Olympic gold. It's done. No more. You want to be trans?
What, brother? I agree. Oh, I'm sorry to interrupt. Please.
No, but I'm just saying, if you want to be like, dude, there's always been trans. They've just kept their shit together. Fly your freak flag at home. In the center square, we're all going to agree to chill the fuck out. We're going to have three things that we always 100% fucking protect. We protect children, we don't steal, and we don't commit violence. Those are the pillars that we must enforce at all times. Because the minute we don't enforce that, society crumbles. Protect children at all costs. They are the future. And these leftists are all in fucking therapy for childhood trauma, turning around, trying to inflict trauma on the future generations. You protect children at all costs. You make it so violence cannot happen and not acceptable. And violence is met with even more violence, okay? And then we don't allow stealing. That's what life's about.
You're sounding like a Christian, I will first say. And the second thing I'll add, literally, like quite literally. But the second thing I will say is that the proliferation of a corrupt government is synonymous with masculine degeneracy. You're absolutely correct about that. All you have to do is constantly look at the patterns of history. This happens time and time again. That being said, I agree with you, but I would say that there's a further diagnosis. There's a larger issue that is happening, especially with younger generations, I would say millennials and downwards, which is that the incentive structure itself has sort of become inverted where the men don't want to fight. So we need to first sort of fix that so they want to have something they feel they're willing to fight for in the first place. Because a warrior is a person who stands between the dragon and the monster and that which he regards as sacred and that which he wants to protect. Well, a lot of men are just checking out right now. So I think there's your solution to the diagnosis is absolutely correct. I totally agree. But in order for us to get there, a lot of these young men, they simply are checking out. And it's a very disconcerting thing. And it has to do with the multiplicity of issues, obviously, like a slave seed oil diet, consuming grain sludge all day, no protein. You know, it's multifaceted, but I got to say a big factor is how can these young men speak up against the elite collectively when the majority of men are afraid to stand up to female coworkers or neighbors? There's right now a gynocentric phenomenon happening, and there is an issue right now with the incentives of men are simply not there for them to go out and fight, which is what they should do. And that is, to me, an underlying issue that if we don't solve that, we're not going to fight in the first place.
Not even that. Some of my homies are so corporate that they go on dates and they talk to girls like they're at work.
Yeah, and women did to themselves, and they're feeling the blunt of it. People aren't hiring.
Feminism is evil. That's all I'm saying.
Yep, I'm with you, dude. Well, I want to end on this. What is the future of your art? How do you move forward? Are you doing independent galleries? What's the future like for you, Arthur?
So I'm currently homeless in that realm. Okay, so once again, I got banned from the art world, and I walked away from money. So I said, okay, let me try to go on my own way here. Conservative Inc., all the controlled opposition con Inc. people, they heard about me being canceled for being Christian. So like, if you look, like Dennis Prager has my art, Larry Elder has my art, Daily Wire people have my art. So I was going to be this Conservative Inc. Asian guy who paints, but then I talked about contradictions and their loyalty toward the ZOG, and then I burned that bridge as well. So and then I said, you know what, then I have to go independent. I need to create social media. But now I'm banned off social media constantly, and my IP address is literally banned. So I'm in this place where I'm just basically being too real for the game. And I'm not trying to sound egocentric when I say that, but quite literally, I can't explain this phenomena any other manner. So I am an independent artist, and I survive from the base elite who have the money, who love art. They're the people who get my art. That's how I've been surviving for several years now. So, you know, if there's a gallery who has the balls to showcase somebody like myself, that's the way to go forward. But I will say, in the meantime, you can go to my website, Arthur Kwon Lee. On X, I created an account. I don't know how long I'll be able to keep it, but it's at Bad Asian, BADAZN.
I love it.
I actually heard this. I heard this elitist actually say he's a bad Asian. I said I'm going to use that. And then on Instagram, I have a backup account, and they'll never find me because it's so secretive. My Instagram account is at not Arthur Kwon Lee. It's so clever. Telegram, Rumble, and YouTube, Arthur Kwon Lee. I'm working around it. I don't know how long I'll be able to stay there. Substack, Arthur Kwon Lee as well. Everything Arthur Kwon Lee for the most part. But X is Bad Asian. And if you guys want some beautiful art in your home and care about beauty, then yeah, I'm the guy.
Well, brother, I'm going to talk to you, maybe getting a piece. We'll figure it out, how we can make it happen. Dude, I'm so excited that you came on the show. I don't know if you ever make it out to LA, but if you're ever out here, dude, I'm going to email you. I'm going to text you my number, email you my number. You can call me anytime. I'm so thankful that our boy Hell Hitler was persistent to get you on. It wasn't personal. I was just running crazy, but we finally made it happen. And I'm so thankful. And I thought it was just great, man. So thanks for coming on, and we appreciate you.
Thanks, both of you gentlemen. And Sam, definitely, I'll let you know if I'm in town, man. We'll be in touch, and God bless you guys.
All right, man. That was great. Thank you so much.